Okay, I am now up on Pine Mountain. Well, I arrived yesterday in the middle of what looked like a sort of star party, but apparently the local observatory holds sort of open nights every Friday and Saturday, so it's absolutely packed up here yesterday. Anyway, I've kind of fallen on my feet because there's both Wi-Fi and power up here, which are two things that I usually struggle to find. Anyway, so I'm now doing a little video about the death of faith. Now, for the biblical reference, as a sort of satire, I'd actually named my 3 planes Faith, Hope and Charity. The first one, of course, being faith. This is the one that actually went into the tidal surf. It sort of lost power, and of course you can't hear whether the motor's running or not because of the roar of the sea. So I was doing a nice even flyby at the whatever, and it started losing power. When I tried to put power on, nothing happened, at which point you're screwed, because if you try and turn you lose altitude. And well, anyway, it managed to land out of the sea, but a wave then came in and waxed it. So why did this happen? Well, I think part of the clue comes from the type of sand. So this is what a normal motor should sound like. Yeah? And this is what the motor sounds like on the one that crashed. And if you actually look into the motor, what you actually find is it's coated with black sand, and you can't wash it off to save your life. It's magnetic black sand. So I think what actually happened was when I did the first loop, which went perfectly fine, long flight, and the only thing was the video cut out for some unknown reason. When I landed, I got some grit in the motor, which started up okay, but when I tried to start it later in the air, it wouldn't turn, which is why I lost power and the whole thing just sort of sank into the surf. So, anyway, that was basically the end of faith, in that everything, after the wave went over it, this is now the camera. Can I focus on that? Anyway, the camera was full of sand, which was, there we go, kind of depressing. And if you look at the power contacts, so the power contacts are here. They're like, to those are 12 volts and ground. And you can see here that one of them took power whilst it was in salt water. If you look around the sides of the camera, you actually still see the sand in there. Anyway, I tried that once and he wasn't working. And similarly, this is the transmitter. Here there was loads of sand in as well, the video transmitter. And I've got no real great hopes about that ever working again. Finally, we come to the speed controller, who did actually Yeah, and if you look at all the contacts down the side there, they look vaguely melted. You got to bear in mind these things take huge currents. These take up to 20 amps or something, and they're connected to fairly powerful batteries, so if you short them out they'll melt pretty quick. And I've got a itching suspicion that the speed control is fried. So what are we looking at in terms of losses? Well, speed control, I've not tried it yet, but I'm almost certain is a dead loss. Motor, I mean they're only like $10 anyway, but he's pretty much a write-off. The camera I've tried once, he didn't work. I'll try him again sometime, see if he dries out a bit better. Yeah, I washed all these off with clean water and let them dry out. The only thing that I think might have survived in here is the receiver. So this controls the servos on the plane. This was remarkably both sand free and water free. So I think the receiver will still be in working order, which is a good thing. So, oh, and the servos, all the servos I think are fine. So the total losses are camera $100, about 50 for one of those, about 20-30 for the pair of that, and of course all the work at putting it back together again. So we're looking at what, about $200 down the drain. A hard learning curve, isn't it? Anyway, so I'm going to retire this plane, seeing as she has been crashed, broken in half about lots of times. I'm going to keep it, but basically as a spare. So now we're moving on to, we're finished with Faith, we're now moving on to Hope. See what we can do with Hope. Okay, this is now Hope, seeing as Faith is dead. So the motor is still the same, speed control is still the same, all mounted in the same way, but I've moved the battery. Battery used to be up here, which I think was a terrible place. Raises the centre of gravity, also puts the electric supply for the camera and transmitter near this rapidly oscillating magnetic field, which I don't think was too smart. So I've now moved the battery down to under the wing, and set it so it's now both more securely fastened, lower profile, and it lowers the centre of gravity, which will makes the plane more stable. If you put stuff on the top, you make the plane top heavy, so it makes it easier to flip over. Okay, coming up to the front, everything is mounted with Velcro, such that you have your transmitter, that is mounted with Velcro. So this is all such that when it crashes, there's not that much damage done. So you have the tilt servo here mounted with Velcro, camera's just stuck on with double-sided tape, and the pan servo here is also mounted with Velcro, and this whole thing is actually held down with rubber bands. This makes it incredibly resistant to damage when you crash it. So if we now put some wings on, and so this just carbon spar, this thing stiffens up the wings like so, and so the whole thing just opens up, connect the battery, lock it down again, and you have now pan and tilt back. So that's completely up to the camera. Anyway, and the control surfaces are still the same, so you've just got rudder, extended rudder, and elevator. So that is now Hope, and we'll see what we can do with that.